Hello and welcome to How to Stay Married So Far. If you enjoy this podcast, if you could please subscribe and hit the like button, that'd be fabulous. Don't forget, if you're listening on podcast, you can watch us on YouTube and vice versa.
We do have a moment in every single episode, about 10, 12 minutes in, when Nadia gets her breasts out.
Yes. So I would go and look on YouTube so you can have a good laugh. Right, so today is a bit of a surprise for Mark.
Yes.
I have loaded an article. It's a very simple article. You don't need to have read it before.
I can read.
And because I didn't want him to know about this. And I have also put on a link for an Instagram post. I discovered this Instagram lady.
Is that what you call someone who's you mean an influencer?
Yes, she's an influencer. That's it. I couldn't find the word. And she's called the Libido Fairy.
Ooh. Now look,
does that make you happy?
Let me just, before we go anywhere else, I have to say I find fairies quite horny.
There you go.
I mean, and I've danced with fairies.
There you go.
In my head and in reality.
There we go.
I was offered once, my first time I experienced a fairy. Wow. It was at Dingwalls. Do you remember in Camden, Dingwalls?
There was a lot of fairies in Dingwalls.
Yeah,
in the 80s.
and there was a lot of kind of dry ice, and a fairy emerged from the fog holding a platter with chalk ices on it. We were all raving.
Were you on ecstasy?
I was off my absolute badoolas. And it was clever because I visually was like, she's an arrival. And what they very cleverly did was the chalk ice immediately took priority. So that was good.
Don't do drugs, folks.
Because otherwise you eat too many chalk ices.
He ended up in rehab. Yeah. Don't do it.
Didn't end up with the fairy.
So the Libido Fairy, and he's already excited. So God, this is going well.
Well, I love libidos and I love
cheer
fairies.
him up. We had a bit of a. We both don't feel very well, so I thought let's throw in the air what we were going to talk about, and let me get the Libido Fairy out for him.
Fucking hell! I feel like everything. I feel like Christmas has arrived.
Okay, well,
Christmas
click on
fairies.
the link. And
okay,
let's listen to it.
So we're going to listen to it. What's her name again? She's she's an Instagram lady. I love that description for influencer. Oh, okay. So she's quite chirpy. She's got a big. Well, you're going to see it now. I'll edit on top of this.
One of my favorite rules that keeps my relationship connected and passionate is called first. Advice columnist Dan Savage originally came up with this rule, which he defined as having before you go out to a fancy dinner date or a party rather than waiting till you get home at the end of the night. But in my relationship, it just means that we prioritize physical, intimate connection before we eat dinner. Because let's be real, who wants to put on strappy lingerie with a belly full of Thai food?
Wherever she goes, is she saying fuck? Just to let you know.
So basically, because if you listen to this, you'll be like, well, what the fuck is this about? It's called the fuck first rule.
Yeah. And I've put the article there from the guy, Dan Savage, who says it's not an in-depth article, but I do think there's something in this. First of all, I'm sorry, can I just say nothing would turn me off more. Well, no, there are things that turn me off more, but it is such an absolute turn off when somebody says, putting our physical intimacy ahead of everything else. No.
Can I
Stay connected. For us, it's just a way of staying connected. I really, really find that unsexy. And maybe this is where a lot of Brits go wrong, because we are a bit tight-arsed about saying things like connecting and connection. And everyone's, a lot of people say, well, it's just got to be spontaneous. It's just got to happen. And maybe that's why in a lot of relationships, it doesn't happen. So people that say, I prioritize
I'm just looking at the article.
Connection and intimacy with my partner, maybe they're doing something right. They're prioritizing.
Well, no, what they're doing, I've got a horrible feeling that this is all about that American word and the way they say it, schedule. This is about scheduling.
No, she would not say that. She's about bringing up your libido. And
but she's scheduling her libido.
Well, she's prioritizing.
But she's
like, listen, I'm going to tell you a funny thing now. Over the years, when women have said to me things like, "Oh God, I've got to go on date night," which means, you know what that means when I get back. You know what I always say? I always say, go for a curry. Go for a curry.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Nice.
Because nobody wants sex after a naan bread, a korma and a pint of beer.
Nads. You've ripped date nights for men up and down the country.
Have I ever taken you for a curry?
No, and actually some nights I've suggested, shall we go to that curry house? And you've been like, looked at me and... With
Oh, shut up. Don't stop fantasizing.
Look in your eye and you've gone,
listen,
no.
But to go back...
Hang on. It's the connection between food. It is the scheduling that I find... Because I have a response. My response to her is a little bit like, this is so ordered. This is so pragmatic. It takes the entire... Even so, you've arranged a date night. That's scheduling. You've scheduled a date night, but then to break down the date night day into having sex or fuck at a certain point.
Okay, well, let's take the Americanism out of it and let's get to the practicals, right?
All right.
So if you're really honest, you know, you go out for dinner, you've driven somewhere, you've parked, you're probably a bit tense because you've had to schedule a date. You kind of like eat a lot of carbohydrates because you're on a date, and why not? You then maybe have, not for you because you don't drink, you probably have 3 glasses of wine when normally you'd have 1.5 or 2. And then you go, fuck it, let's have a pudding. Are you going to want sex?
Sounds like a lovely night.
After that. And so what she's saying is, when you're sort of first light and a bit excited about going out and you've got your makeup on, or you've put like a nice shirt on or something, that's the moment you feel when you're coming back and you're slopping into the house, putting the key in, the teenagers are back and wide awake and going, oh, can we get a takeaway?
Right.
Are you set up for a sexy night? Of course, we're talking about being a married couple with kids.
Yeah.
But I suppose the singledom of that would be, do you really fancy
There's
it?
so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack here. So I'm just going to be honest. Okay, I'm going to be unvarnished.
Don't be too unvarnished.
Why?
Because I won't allow it.
Why? You won't allow it?
Go on then, get on with it.
Oh no, okay, no. So for me, and I'm not saying this is the case with you, but I'd have thought for a lot of people, your description of a date night is both nice, we're going for something to eat. There are a lot of things that you're doing on that date night and you're going through, you're driving and, the restaurant might be a bit too busy, you might sit next to someone who's a bit stupid. Your food might not be nice, and so you're right, you get a donut on the way back to the car and then one of you is driven all the way back. And is there not really part baked into date night, as long as both people are consensual, obviously, I'm not talking about, that you're both kind of like, that's the payoff, that's the reward. There's a narrative, there's a happy ending. It's a narrative to the night.
But I think that is the problem.
Right.
For a lot of people, it's like
we need non-narrative sex.
There is like something TikToking over here. I'm tired now. I'm not talking about people in the first throes of love or whatever, but people that have got a job, people that have got kids, people that have got, and you've just paid the bill and you just, Jesus Christ, the cost of restaurants. So this is very much a fuck first before you go out to dinner kind of chat, more than anything else. And I think that I know this because a lot of women will say this, that there then is this expectation.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like that.
And if things have gone a little bit tits up, because the thing is, if you think about it, in a long-term relationship, sometimes sex is about just wanting to reconnect when it's all got a bit distant with each other, right? So if you've got a bit distant with each other and then you go out for dinner and then you start having a bit of a chat that goes a bit pear-shaped, and then you're just not action, you've got expectations that you're going to have this great night and it all goes a bit pear-shaped, then you come back and then you think like, oh, we better have sex because blah blah blah. Whereas if you were to just get a bit saucy, obviously not planned, not saying to the other person, but say somebody is listening now to this and they've got a dinner date on Friday, say. So you might just go, you might just text your partner and say, what time are you back? Have we got time? Should we have a quickie before we go out? Kind of thing.
Yes.
This is what the article refers to. Then what happens is you've actually communicated again. So then you've got closer again. And then you go out and you're kind of happy. He's really happy. You're really happy. She's really happy, or whatever it is. Yeah, and then you go into an evening knowing that you've still got it as a couple.
This is so rich. there's the narrative side of it. I get what you're saying about the obligation side of it. A micro obligation, even in a loving, consensual, passionate marriage, you know, one person just might not feel well. Someone's curry might have made them not feel too good.
Doesn't mean you don't fancy the person.
And you might have set out, and the really important thing to bear in mind here is you can set out on an evening of romance with the thought that you might come back and have sex. But across the night, you don't feel like it. And that's okay too.
Because you've had a naan bread and a korma.
Absolutely.
And an onion bhaji.
Or you haven't if you've been preparing, eat the right things. I am,
eat the right things.
Just don't eat
have
food
a salad.
that's not, I mean, I've just noticed. Anyway, I don't want to get distracted from what I'm saying.
Sushi.
So the obligation thing, what I always find interesting about obligation, expectation, I think it's astonishing that couples manage to have sex ever. If you think about, you're trying to get in alignment, the right conditions and desire and consent. And I mean consent I don't mean consent. But you know, I think it's really quite astonishing. Like we sometimes say, it's amazing more people don't just randomly kill people in the street. Yeah. I think it's amazing that people manage to meet at the point to have sex together, and maybe that's why a lot of people don't have happy sex lives, because they don't.
Especially when you think our lists are longer and longer of what we've got to do, what we've got to achieve, got to do the gym,
here's
got
the
to
problem.
do this, you've got to have a perfect house.
Here's the problem with this idea of fucking first, and I do think it's an age thing. If we fucked first before going out, we'd both be so tired we wouldn't want to go out.
That's not true.
Babe, it's a natural soporific. I don't mean tired because I'm riding a horse and wearing a rodeo outfit. I mean tired because you get
wearing a rodeo outfit. Where did that? What are you talking about?
I don't know.
You didn't even answer what I'd said.
Which is what?
Which was, you know, you ring up and you say, let's have a little bit of how's your father before we go, and then you feel more connected, and then you're more jolly, then you're feeling like, oh, we are still a vital couple that fancy each other, and then you go out on that
I've got
wave.
an awful thing to say.
You just want to go to bed.
I don't really think date nights are that interesting without the thought of sex at the end of them. For most men. I'm not saying, I mean for most men. For the majority of people, that's the transaction.
And voila, there we go. And that's why it's not working for so many people.
Well, that's why it's not working for so many people.
Because you could decide on a Monday that you're going on a date on a Friday, and then through Monday to Friday, they've pissed you off so many different times. And now it's like a looming great thing at the end of the week.
I mean, you might have the runs and you just don't want to do it. You know, I mean, the point... The point,
runs?
Well, because you were talking... Well, look, one of the reasons here, look at this. These are the reasons that... Who's this article by? This isn't by her. This is...
No, this is what she refers to in there.
With Vanessa and Xander Marriott. Okay, so this person says, if I eat a big or special meal, the likelihood of me wanting to have sex afterwards is extremely low. It's also food related. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
We didn't set it up well enough at the beginning. This
fuck
is whether
first, eat later.
Before you go out, if you're going out for dinner.
Well, that's different.
Well, I'll do a little bit at the beginning to explain this.
Fuck first, eat later. Because it says, have you ever tried to wriggle your way into tight, strappy lingerie? I was just using rodeo gear as an example. Have you ever gotten the dreaded whiskey dick after one too many cocktails?
That's a horrible thing to say.
Whiskey dick?
Mark, well, don't say it twice.
Whiskey
I just said
dick.
It's a horrible thing to say, and you said it again.
What does that mean? It makes me think of a little calcified...
Mark, stop.
Okay.
People don't need this. Impotence caused by alcohol.
That's boring. Have you ever...
Brewer's Drew.
I'm going to ask you this.
Mark, Brewer's Drew is a nicer way to say it. You're not listening to me.
Babe, I'm listening to everything you say. You're saying a lot and I'm listening. It's nice. It's called a conversation.
You are talking so randomly.
I'm not talking randomly. I'm excited.
I want you to watch this back.
Have you ever desperately tried, and this is a good one for you, Nat, to hold back a fart while your partner was going down on you?
Please don't tell me that's in that article.
It's, have you ever desperately tried to hold back a fart while your partner was going down on you?
That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Well, listen, they've gone for Mexican food. Do you remember that time?
This is talking about sex like we are just Jews.
Mark, do you remember years and years ago, we went to Oaxaca.
Oh my God.
We went on this date and we went to Oaxaca, right?
The biggest
and we had
disappointment.
beans. And then we went to the cinema. And we just sat like this, didn't we? Watching our bellies just grow
Distend.
and grow and grow. And it was like the worst date. We came back. Both of us were doing downward dogs and everything to try and get the wind out.
I've never been the same since. I wonder if what was that bowl of
beans.
It was just
refried beans.
Horrible.
Yes. But anyway,
no, hang on.
Don't have beans if you're going to have
Are we talking about what best to eat before having sex? In which case, it doesn't matter when you have sex.
I think that's where we've gone to.
That's why I think sushi's good. It's very light.
Salads.
Very light salads. Brown rice is apparently just as bad as white rice.
So I mean, I think this podcast is about
fucking
having dinner
first and eating
before
later.
you eat, and so I think. There are foods that are like a really vibrant bowl of something delicious that you feel energized by will make you feel better, I hate to keep saying chicken korma or chicken tikka masala, naan bread.
I really want a curry.
So
much more than I want to fuck. I really.
Go for a curry.
Oh.
Do you know what? I've not been in an Indian restaurant.
I know what we should call this. Let's eat curry, fuck later.
I can't remember why don't we go to the Indian anymore?
I don't know. I love Indians.
It's annoying.
I asked you when we walked past the Royal Opera House the other day. I said, let's go in there. And you went, I went there with Tori. It was lovely.
No, I didn't. I said it wasn't as nice as it was when we went there years ago.
Mm. Okay.
So I want to go to. We've now
hang on, this is weird.
Mark, please, I want to go to like a local curry house, like in the 80s.
Okay.
I want to have too much naan. I want to have an Irish whiskey. I always used to.
So you're going to have an Irish whiskey dick.
I always used to. Do they?
Hang on, babe. You're heading into the hinterlands
Not
of
an Irish
curry.
whiskey. Stop. Shush a minute, Mark. Not an Irish whiskey. What's it called when they put the cream on top?
A mini Guinness.
No.
That is an Irish whiskey.
Oh. When they put the cream on the top.
It's not very Indian.
No, but our Indian always used to do. We'd always have.
Hang on. If we're going to go for a curry, when are we going to fuck?
I think it has to be first.
In case you fart.
No! That's Oaxaca. That's not
I thought you were going to suddenly charge at me. I thought you were about to charge it.
It's Oaxaca. So think of like a nice light Vietnamese.
To fuck?
No. If you're going to do it afterwards, you need to have Vietnamese.
It's very specific.
You need to have
would you put
Thai.
that into your dating app? A light Vietnamese.
Oh my God, we should do a Curly Cooks of Croydon on this.
Oh, Dina would be great. Hang on, we're going. Why are we concentrating on food and we're not concentrating on fucking?
Because we're trying to be more like this in this podcast now. We don't have to stick to the title.
When we're talking about fucking, Mark, we stick to it.
I am preferring to talk about food.
I want to talk about fucking.
Oh, okay. All right. So, what meal? Nando's.
Nando's is good.
Why is Nando's good?
As long as you don't get the double bit of protein.
No. Don't bring protein into this. What?
Don't eat sweet corn.
Why is Nando's good?
I know
if
someone.
You want to have sex afterwards instead of first.
I don't know. This is a really trick question.
Because you don't have to wait ages for the bill, so you don't get irritated.
Oh, you're in and out.
You're in and out.
A bit like in the bedroom. But the night out, the meal, the going out, the driving, all the exhausting part of it, the bit that makes it... Hang on. No, I'm just...
This has gone off into a different place, and I want to stick with it.
No, hang on. That isn't... Could you not argue that the whole experience of the night, the food, the eating, the Nando's, whatever it is the foreplay?
Well, okay. I'm going to be very honest now. Are you ready? It's not going to be nice. You're not going to like it.
God, what's going to happen?
This is going to actually upset you, and you're going to drive me mad for weeks because you're going to keep bringing it up. Do you want me to say it?
Well, I think everyone wants you to say it.
No, but do you? Because I'm warning you.
Yes.
And you can't bring it up loads.
Oh, for God's sake, I've got to be allowed to mention it.
Those of you that aren't married or in a long-term relationship won't know what I'm talking about here, but those that are married or in a long-term relationship will know what I'm talking about when I say, if I bring this up, it's going to play on your mind and you're going to repeat it and repeat it. And that becomes exhausting.
Okay.
And then that becomes a second problem when we were trying to clear up a first
Well, let's just hear the problem and let's see me weather the storm.
Look at Mark trying to prepare.
Oh, God, I hate this podcast. Go on.
It's not dire, but it's in complete answer, because I'm listening to you and answering you. It's a complete answer to what you just said.
Because hang on, the way you just said, I'm listening like I'm not.
Because you're not. Because you're so overexcited by this, you just keep going into weird areas.
Okay, that's true. I can't listen to you and I can't disagree.
So, you just said,
yes.
Is that not the foreplay, the going to the restaurant?
Yes.
That never happens in that way anymore.
What?
What you said.
What? That we go on a date and go for foreplay?
Yeah, like if you're newly with somebody, they will make the effort to make it really nice, go to a really nice restaurant, not be moaning and whinging, not like you go whining about, oh God, the state of the car park or this or that. And they might open a door for you.
Yeah.
And they might be really, really nice to you and really charming.
Yeah.
And just say nice things. You don't take me on a date in a restaurant anymore.
Not in a restaurant.
You haven't for years. And for years and years and years, and it really used to upset me because I love food and I love restaurants, we would always end up going to Yo Sushi.
No,
and I hated it.
That was unforgivable. and I apologise. I apologise.
I mean, 4 years.
No, and I apologise for that.
Especially as you always get depressed after
Hang on, I'm sorry. It's a full plaintiff sorry.
So that part of our life is not part of our life.
The food, you mean a restaurant foreplay situation?
Yeah, because I think, and the reason I've never said any of that is because I think a lot of the romance is of having a glass of wine and of, kicking back a bit. So you get quite tense in a restaurant. Like you're looking to see if there's too many people, if it's going to be too hot, if somebody's going to hear us, so there's a lot of anxiety of going into a restaurant. So, and so I really, really understand that because we used to, when we were first together, we would go to restaurants and we would drink, and it's like that kickback of the first glass of wine that you simply can't have.
So you're not missing the ability for me to drink and kick back though, are you? You're missing...
Well, I miss it for you.
Right, because I can't do that.
No, I know. That's what I mean.
I can't drink.
So when you say, isn't going for a meal, that whole foreplay thing, and I'm saying, no, it's not, because we don't have that love. No. And your sobriety is an amazing gift to our relationship. Yeah. So it's not about like, oh God, he's sober, so he can't go to...
But let me pause you just there.
But just let me finish it. But the other day, we had a conversation when I said to you, is your sobriety a good one for you, right? And this is a little bit part of that. It's like now after 20 years, maybe sometimes you get locked into thinking that, it's a kind of repetitive thing. It's like you haven't been able to let go of that's what happens in a restaurant. That it's a subconscious thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a glass of wine and kick back.
But I just want to. I don't feel like I need to defend myself. But I'm just.
No,
but I am a little bit confused in that way that men and women do get confused when they hear something. So, for example, we went out to see Bridget Jones, and we went to that lovely little local restaurant, Badger. We were disappointed by the food.
No, we didn't. It was lovely.
No. The first time, then another time, but then we dropped in there again, and it was really nice.
Yeah, I love that date.
Most times now when we do try to go out, so first things first, it's a struggle for us both to find something that we're going to do together. We saw quite a few films in a flurry at the beginning of this year, and attached to each of those nights, I was always thinking I booked a table in 2 or 3 places. We cancelled it on one night.
That's not what I'm talking about.
No, but I'm just saying this idea that I'm not striving for that. But let me just finish my thought. The other thing that we've felt, that I think a huge number of people feel as well, and this is where you're a victim of your own success, is that you've said on occasions, even when we were down in Cornwall for our birthday, you said, why do we want to go out and spend money on a meal that isn't going to be particularly nice? When I hear that coming from you, that doesn't sound particularly romantic either. So the fact that I've heard you say that would make me step towards you, because I've sensed that you don't particularly fancy going out for a meal either, because you quite like us kind of getting intimate and being cozy
No, I
together.
totally do. I totally do. But you
See
were
my
talking
confusion?
very specifically about going to a nice restaurant
Yes.
and that. So yes, we have romantic dates. I love our date. We have really funny dates. We always end up so often in Pizza
I've just
Express,
booked
don't we?
the Vietnamese on Wardour Street.
So no, don't get me wrong. We do, but I was talking specific. I was answering what you'd said when you went, isn't when you go for a really nice
But
meal.
you said I
isn't that-"
don't do that anymore.
Well, we don't. We don't do that kind of going
No,
out
we
for a
don't.
meal.
But can I be brutally honest with you? And this is where this podcast is brilliant. I've not done it so much because I feel you don't want to do it so much.
I don't want to do it so much because I feel that you're very, very tense and you're very uncomfortable.
Right.
Because it's like, you just like get a bit like, you get anxious.
Okay, well, let me explain where that comes from.
This has gone off on a right
Let me
tangent.
explain where that comes from.
Yeah.
It comes from usually
being loud.
if we have an appointment, if we've got a film, if we've got something after. I do get stressed about making things on time. If it's theatre, if we were just going out for a meal,
That's what
or
I
if we're staying in a hotel or we're
Which is
doing a
what
night
this
out.
podcast is about. Fuck
I
want to
fucking do that. I want to fuck first and do that. Yes, please. I'm up for
Right.
that.
We got to it.
I want to. But the thing is, I want to fuck first and fuck last.
Mark, right. Now we're going to stop because you get too over the top. People are going to listen to this.
Yeah, I know. I love taking you on dates. I honestly, no, being
Do
honest.
not click that and put that on Instagram.
Well, I think it's now on Instagram.
No, do not put that on Instagram.
I'm pleased you've said this. I'm really pleased you've said this, because you're right, forgetting when and the wherefores of whether we have and could and should I. I know part of it is that you're stepping back from it, and I hear what you're saying, and that's great. I hear that and I accept that. And I will not necessarily work on that, but
you
I'll
don't
maybe...
have to.
No, but what I know I'll do is I'll book a restaurant that has a bit more space. We don't have an appointment afterwards. I can sit back.
Listen.
And I will be in a glow because we'll have already fucked.
This isn't about you.
Brilliant.
Well, there you go. You see, if you do it first, you feel good. You feel relaxed.
Isn't fucking...
Maybe that's the key for people that are in sobriety. Because you've kicked back early.
Isn't there a practical problem for...
Right. That is not going in. I'm telling you now. And I really mean it, Mark.
Oh, no.
No. This is the first time we're going to edit something out. That is too much. You are taking that bit out. And I'm telling you now, if you don't, I swear to God, Mark.
I'll bleep it.
All of it.
From where to where?
From when you say, isn't that a problem for women, until the end.
Okay. Guess what I said? No, they can have their own little
Stop
fun.
now.
They can
You're
have...
going to bring weirdos in, and we've got enough weirdos.
If you want to know where weirdos are, go to her Instagram.
Oh, God. Right. Thanks so much, guys. Tell us where you think your best...
Or what cuisine? No, tell us what
Restaurant.
cuisine you think is the best.
Not French.
What's the best food for fuck later?
Not spaghetti.
And if you fuck first, I wonder if
Not
you...
spaghetti. Not pasta. Yeah.
Shall we...
Mark, thank you, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.